So I'm right outside near my new garden bed that we had done, and this thing is called bee plant, and I think it's beautiful. It's also called spider plant for some reason, and maybe because it has a spidery look, I guess, maybe. But it's mostly covered by ants. I mean, I know it's very sweet if the ants are on it, but the bees aren't. They're down here on the Adonis shooting star, and there was a really cool little predator, actually. There's one right there. You can see it's like a little wasp-like thing. I do see them around and next to the honeybee. Isn't it really a beautiful, I think it is a bee because of its wing pattern and how its body is shaped. It's tiny. It's like the size of a big black ant. So the poppies are closed, but you can see the Adonis shooting star that's blooming now, and it's closed in the morning, is really getting a lot of attention from the bees, which is great. Nothing is blooming yet, but soon, I think. I've been weeding down the front so that I can get the string trimmer done through here where it's really high. I've got catnip. There's more Adonis shooting star I'm leaving. Some of these are annuals, some of these are perennials. I have a few sunflowers back there. Look at that beautiful catnip. And oh, wow, this one did bloom. It is bloomed and done. So this is comfrey, and that one is blooming. Again, you'll see ants on it, no bees. This comfrey was brought, there's a bunch of them throughout here, along with the tansy, was brought from my garden. So pretty exciting to see. So I've mostly planted catnip along the bottom here. The Adonis shooting star was just seed that I just kind of picked up and randomly put, or someone else put. But there's some California poppies. I've got some garlic chives in here, which will bloom a beautiful white. This looks like it's ready to go. This is bachelor button, or it's not, oh my gosh, I can't think of what it's called. But this is bachelor button, so that's a nice big one. Tansy behind it that I planted. Still have a few little weeds in here. This is definitely a weed. And this is too. So these are lovely bindweed, which needs to come out. And of course they bind themselves into stuff to make it hard. Ooh, that one's double. And their roots are quite deep. So they just keep coming back, but if I keep pulling them up, they eventually succumb, which is my goal. So I've been weeding this over the last few weeks, otherwise it would look like this. And the rest of the arena looks pretty terrible too. So I'm hoping to get that mowed. It looked like nothing 2 weeks ago, but then the rain started. So I'm pretty excited about my new garden bed. Not everything I planted came up, but you can see how beautiful the compost looks. That is actually some biochar. I do not know if that is a bindweed or not. You can see the bees over there. Lots of yellow pollen. Also in the creek area, I'm going to pick up some gopher traps I'm moving and my keys. So interesting, this beautiful flower literally just has ants on it and a little bit of other pollinators. So we've been filling in this area, and we'll put soil on top. This year I'll bring manure out and we'll kind of get it all filled in, kind of encircle those trees a little bit. It'll keep this area from flooding out, and just a nice way to do it. So here's my little trail to the bees. And down in the creek area is very weedy. We're down in the creek area. And I don't know what this plant is. I think it's a type of sunflower, but it's not sunflower, so I don't know what it is, but it should bloom soon. So lots of willow, which feeds my bees in the spring. But this year we have a lot of sweet clover. And it's very hard to see, but if you see any of the branches moving, because it's such a still day, those are actually bees and pollinators. So the bees are all over them. They come in with a lighter yellow pollen than the Adonis shooting star. So pretty neat that there's so much down there. And there is on the other side too. Not a lot of water. We are dry. I'm going to walk over to the other Adonis shooting star. So when we mow here, we need to leave the poppies. I know my husband, I'm always telling him, leave the poppies. There we go. Yeah, there's like 3 bees. And you can see how beautiful she looks. There was another one over there. They kind of moved off when I showed up. So there's a really nice mullein, although I've never seen the bees so interested in the mullein. So all the way over, it's really great to see so much of this plant. It likes really dry, rocky areas, as you can see. This is horrible soil right here, and it's loving it. So zoom in on those little bees down there. Really beautiful to see them. Okay, I'm going to walk over towards the bees and see how they're doing. Make sure everything's going well with them. Ooh, look at her. She has a ton of pollen. And you'll see so many other pollinators too. Like I was just showing on that other, it's a little mini bee. There's another bee that's black, and it's much smaller than that, but it's definitely a bee. And then the bumblebees and those other bees that hold pollen on their heads and some that do it on their abdomens. It's just really interesting. I don't know enough about insects, but it's certainly interesting to see them. So here are my beehives, and I only have one. And their water source is looking very dry and rusty, so it could use cleaned up. But there's a bee coming out right now. She just popped back in. Yep, there goes one in. So some will be bringing in nectar and water, and others will be bringing in... I should have done my inspection today, because this lower area may be getting filled, and it may be time to move things up a little bit. She had a little pollen, I believe. I didn't see that one. Let's see if we can get 1 or 2 more. But this is not a busy hive. Like, busy hives would literally have so many more. That little girl just took off after leaving her stuff. She's out to forage some more before nightfall. Yeah, there's some beautiful pollen. And that pollen looks more like the sweet clover pollen. Let's see if I can zoom in just a little more, because I'd like to check these out. And it's nice that they're getting pollen from a lot of different places. The pollen is turned into bee bread, if I understand things right, to feed the baby bees. So they're bringing in lots of pollen. They got to have lots of brood. They did have to draw out a lot of comb. Yep, there it goes. So pretty cool. There comes a little lady out she's left her stuff. There goes another lady. But what you just saw, that little bit, should be like 2 times that all the time. There shouldn't be any of this stalling. This is a weak hive. I'm going to do my best to keep them, but they are weak. There she is. Are you going to fly off, honey? Yep. And there's another little girl at the entrance getting ready. Pretty cool. And there is probably a guard bee inside, I hope. But I do need to get eyes on this hive, so maybe tomorrow I'll be able to put my bee suit on and come down here for a few minutes and check it out. So that's the status.